So chapter 1, the world's worst singer, ? I'll never forget the day I heard the news. It was a day that would change my life, although I had no idea at the time. I was watching the nightly news on Fox TV, and they announced that American Idol would be holding an audition in San Francisco. I was attending college at Berkeley, so the venue was nearby. That television station was KTVU, by the way. Earlier that semester, I had experienced something similar, albeit on a much smaller scale. I discovered a flyer announcing a talent show at the Clark Kerr dormitories. That's the dormitories at UC Berkeley. Aloha Geeky, aloha King of the Knobs. In case you don't know, we are reading William Hung's book, Champion by Choice. I was really into Ricky Martin and had recently been watching his live performance online of She Bangs. It was my favorite song. I had been singing karaoke since I was 10 years old in Hong Kong, but I had never entered singing or talent competitions before, so I did not expect to win. Still, I felt like I had nothing to lose, so I said to myself, why not? I was the very last person to perform that night, and I didn't know how my friends or classmates would respond. But after I performed, they gave me a standing ovation with loud cheers. I didn't know if that was good enough to win, but it turned out that it was. I took home the grand prize, a brand new DVD player. When I had decided to compete in that talent show, I wasn't sure how I would measure up. I did not feel that I was necessarily the most talented. But one of my main aims in life is to do what feels right in my heart. I thought to myself, if I could win the talent show at my school, why not take it to the next level? My mom would often mention to me how she admired tennis pro Michael Chang and prolific figure skater Michelle Kwan, and then she would add that she'd like to hear my name, William Hung, mentioned on TV. These are just two pure guys. I really hope everyone is listening to this with the purest intentions that William Hung wrote this book for. And if you're not, please keep the comments to yourselves. So I thought the American Idol audition would be my golden opportunity. And the truth was, I was dreading having to go to class each day as a civil engineering student. Therefore, I felt it was better to try, even if it resulted in failure, than to live with the regret of having not made the attempt. The more I thought about it, the easier it was to picture myself having the freedom to travel around the world to perform, making way more money than with civil engineering, and enjoying a much more exciting life. There was a sticking point, however: my parents. As a parent, I genuinely hope that my kids never have this reaction to me. It's going to get on the table. As the son of an elderly conservative Chinese parents, my role was to buckle down and get good grades. They wanted me to be an engineer, a lawyer, a doctor, basically anything but an entertainer. Needless to say, they would be less than thrilled about me pursuing a singing career. And in his defense, he got into UC Berkeley, arguably the hardest public school to get into in the world. He is fairly successful, everything else being said. Fortunately, I came up with a brilliant solution that would make everyone happy. I just wouldn't tell them. I told some of my close friends that I wasn't feeling well. I remember asking one of my friends to take notes for me in one of the classes. I seriously did not expect to get past the preliminary rounds, but I knew I needed to give myself a chance to create a better life for myself. I woke up really early on the day of the audition, as I felt like I had to rush if I was going to get in line by 7 a.m. It was one of those breezy San Francisco mornings, so I put on a jacket and jumped on the BART. BART being Bay Area Rapid Transit, a subway-like system in the San Francisco Bay Area. When I got to Back Bell Park, now called AT&T Park, 3,000 other aspiring singers were already arriving. and I could see that many people were taking the audition very seriously. There are very few people like me who appeared to be there just for fun. So I didn't want to expect too much because I know the odds were against me, even if I had musical talent. One of the contestants had come all the way from Nashville, while another announced, "This audition is life or death for me." Aloha, Crystal. We are reading William Hung's Champion by Choice while we let for people to come on in to the stream, and then we'll be playing some Voodoo Vince. All right. I knew the odds of me getting to Hollywood were slim. I thought to myself, if I can make it to Hollywood, fantastic. If not, it will still be a valuable experience. I expected the American Idol judges to say something like, "No, that's not good enough. Sorry." My plan was simply to do the same thing that had won me on the talent show at college. Win or lose, it wouldn't be a big deal. Not because I didn't want to win. Rather, I wanted to focus on what I could control, performing my best with what I had. I planned to sing a different song this time. Instead of the Ricky Martin tune, I decided on Two Worlds by Phil Collins, so I could better showcase my vocal range. I just have to know. One, I do own his album, and I need to just verify if Two Worlds by Phil Collins is on his album. Just give me a second while we look this up. I hope you guys all understand that this is really, really important to me right now, that I pause the book and look it up. William Hung. We're going to start with his Inspiration album, his first album. Two Worlds is on this album. Should I play Two Worlds? How would you guys feel if we played Two Worlds really quick? Just so that we could hear what he wanted to sing instead of She Bangs. Do you guys feel like this is an appropriate thing to do right now? I mean, it's my stream, so I'm going to do whatever. Yeah, he's got multiple albums. Multiple, including an incredible Christmas album. I don't know why you gave it as a gag gift. You were giving your friends a great album. Hung for Christmas. Just well played, William Hung. All right, here, let's go do that. Two Worlds, because I don't know this one off the top of my head. Alright, okay. So he would have done that as opposed to She Bangs. I like to think he made the right decision. I don't know if he would have become William Hung if he had done that. Okay. But it does showcase his vocal range better. Some people who showed up with friends discussed strategies to impress the producers and ways to hit certain notes. Most people were too busy rehearsing to even talk to me. So while I waited in line, I rehearsed as well. As I waited, I saw hundreds of people get a brief opportunity, and I do mean brief, about 15 to 30 seconds to perform for the American staff members before being told to go home. And yet surprisingly, they let me sing for over a minute, and they let me through. One of the female judges, Megan Michaels-Wolflick, who asked me to come back for another audition, an event that would change my life, turned out to be an influential producer on the show, and she invited me to show up the following morning at the San Francisco Radisson Hotel for the next round. I told her about my experience winning the talent show at college, and she suggested I go back to singing Ricky Martin rather than the Phil Collins song. She also told me that I should dress better for an upcoming audition. That night, the Fox News program announced that out of 3,000 contestants, only 180 had been selected to continue. I thought to myself, wow, is this possible? I had no reason to believe at that time that I had been chosen for any reason other than I had been good enough to make the cut. I rummaged through my closet for the right outfit, and I settled on a blue Hawaiian shirt. I thought it would help me stand out from the other contestants. I did not want to tell anyone about my audition because I hadn't made it to Hollywood yet. The next morning at the Radisson, I auditioned in front of a new group of producers, and just like at the talent show, I performed She Bangs. They seemed excited, and once again, they let me through. At this point, there were only 100 people left. Then I found myself in front of cameras, looking directly at Randy Jackson, Paula Abdul, and Simon Cowell. I had no idea what to expect. I knew from the outset that Paula was usually very nice, and that Simon could be harsh. As soon as I began to sing, Randy lifted a sheet of paper to cover his face, to cover his laughter, and he giggled throughout the audition. I knew then I wouldn't make it to Hollywood. Still, I kept singing my best. Paula seemed to enjoy my performance and watched politely. Somewhere in the middle of the chorus, Simon stopped me. In his Cockney accent, he said, "You can't sing, you can't dance, so what are you going to say?" Aloha, Semi-Durable. We are currently reading Champion by Choice by William Hung, one of my idols. This is a very serious thing. I treat him with the utmost respect. But how was the room? Where are we? We're in the middle of his audition, by the way. My disappointment was palpable as I thought about how to respond. I knew the judges were simply playing their roles. I wanted to keep things positive and not take anything personally. I remember saying something my mom had told me. It's okay to fail as long as you tried your best. I replied, I already gave my best. I have no regrets at all. Good for you, Paula said. That's the best attitude yet. I explained I didn't have any professional training, to which Simon replied, now this is the surprise of the century. I walked out of the audition room with my head held high. I made the conscious choice to stay positive in any negative situation. Although we don't have control over how other people treat us, we do have a choice in how we respond. One of the contestants, I recall, had to be restrained by security and escorted out because he threw a water bottle at Simon. It never occurred to me to get sad or angry. That guy who threw the water bottle received a lot of negative press, but that may have been what he had in mind. My intention was simply to do my best and have fun. I wasn't out there to do something weird just to get a little bit of fame out of an audition. As far as I was concerned, it was over, and it was time to get back to class. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. This was the end of the road in terms of my singing career, and my life would simply return to status quo. Or so I thought. Then, suddenly, 4 months later, there's an ad that hit the airwaves during the Fox broadcast of the 2004 Cotton Bowl, and lo and behold, I was featured. I said to myself, oh no, what's happening? Why are they highlighting my audition? But despite that glimpse, the reality of what had happened did not sink in. Then, later that month, my episode aired. I watched it alone in my dorm room. I hadn't been able to objectively evaluate my performance while I was in the middle of it. But now removed from it and watching it in prime time, I saw what everyone had seen. A guy pumping his fists and twisting his hips like he was doing Samba exercises. I'd really exaggerated my body movements. Not my finest moment. Still, I felt that I shouldn't be too hard on myself. The most important thing was that it had been fun. I had enjoyed the experience. Immediately after the broadcast, my inbox began filling up with emails. Hundreds of them. They were from people offering me performance opportunities and wanting to interview me. Later that evening, local Fox News anchor John Beard announced William Hung is the worst singer ever. I didn't want to go out that night because I had no idea how my peers and classmates would react. The next morning, I was afraid to go back to the classroom. I kept my head down, went to class, wanting to pretend that nothing unusual had happened. I love this guy on every level. At some point in the afternoon, toward the end of one of my civil engineering classes, my professor decided to re-air my audition in front of the class. A class of hundreds of students. I thought to myself, no. Why are you doing this? My professor did not announce beforehand what he was going to do. I remember he said something about a surprise from one of your classmates. After the class, I tried to slip out, but students mobbed me for pictures and autographs. I had fans. From that day forward, I knew my life would never be normal again. I had achieved overnight celebrity. I talked to the professor and it turned out that he was one of my fans too. My life's course had been inexorably altered. I was on the surreal path towards becoming an entertainer. And it's why I tell everyone that they must never give up on their dreams. My dream at the time was to become a professional entertainer. My parents found out about the audition a few days later. I love that his parents didn't even see it live. In an awkward phone call with my mom, she said she had seen me on TV. What happened? She asked. How come I didn't know about it? Well, for those who missed earlier, fortunately, I came up with a brilliant solution that would make everyone happy. I just wouldn't tell them. I explained that my dream was to become an entertainer. I told her that if I had never taken a chance at becoming an entertainer, I was eventually going to regret it. I also told her that I couldn't tell her beforehand because I knew she would say no. That rift with my parents lasted for a few months before they finally accepted that this was what I was going to do. Of course, my parents wanted me to go for a stable job with a stable income. But I realized I was going to be a professional entertainer who would bring joy and laughter to my audience. And to their credit, when I got the record deal from Koch Records to put out singing albums, they became my manager and agent. As an only child, I was definitely overprotected, but I understand that it came from a good place.